Welcome to the Southern Weekend. We're taking an all-American themed road trip across the South. We'll make a patriotic pit stop in Charleston.
Yeah, these little round holes here is where they attach the bullet holes.
Celebrate America's pastime as we swing through Louisville.
One pass, 30 seconds, we'll have a baseball bat.
Hop in a classic American car for an Elvis-themed tour of Memphis.
So I want to take you to the first place that an Elvis Presley song was played.
And experience the beauty of our coastal waters as we come face to face with dolphins in Mississippi.
Yeah.
So come join the adventure as we start the Southern Weekend.
Hi, I'm Molly McKinney, and welcome to the Southern Weekend. We're always traveling across the South looking for great places to visit, delicious food to eat, and amazing things to do. And with the 4th of July coming up, we're making this road trip an all-American adventure. Our first stop, Charleston, South Carolina, and the very appropriately named Patriots Point. You always hear when you're visiting Charleston, South Carolina, that you have to come to Patriots Point. So tell me everything you can experience at Patriots Point.
Well, right now we're walking on the flight deck of the historic USS Yorktown. It's World War II Korean, Vietnam era aircraft carrier. The USS Lafayette was right there to the left, a destroyer that was in World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. And we have the Cold War submarine, the USS Clamagore. And all those are sub-historic warships that you can get on and get interactive with. And we also have the Vietnam Experience exhibit. So there's something here for everybody, whether it's you just want to read about something, whether you want to get hands-on, whether you want to learn through video, through audio. We're trying to make it interactive and bring the museum so people can really walk through the steps of heroes. That's what we want them to do.
It must be really special for veterans to come and see.
It is, and we're very blessed. We have veterans from World War II all the way through Desert Storm. They come and they volunteer. Actually, we have a very special veteran to us. He is also our volunteer coordinator. He's very special because Dick West was an Army engineer in the Vietnam War. So when you get out there, we thought that you know, he's the best person to give a tour of that to you, and we're really excited for you guys to get on the tour.
Hey, Molly.
Dick West, it's a
Dick.
pleasure to have you here.
Nice to meet you. So what all can people see here?
Well, it's set up in two parts. The first part is a Navy support base, and you'll see a lot of buildings like you would have seen in Vietnam. We have a bunker that actors created a scene from when the Tet Offensive started in 1968. And then the second part of this is a Marine fire base.
Gosh, it sounds like an artillery support base.
Well, we have the sound effects from this howitzer here. And also, this tank over here was designed to shoot down airplanes. But we didn't have any airplanes in Vietnam to shoot down. They didn't have that big of an air force. So this became very important on the ground to support the troops because they could lower those guns and fire a massive amount of rounds.
Now, is this one used in combat?
Well, that type of helicopter was commonly referred to as a Huey. Thousands and thousands of Hueys participated in the Vietnam War. They're used to bring troops in, and then this is a hospital one, which they call the dust-off.
Have you had any Vietnam vets come visit the museum that served on the helicopter?
Yes.
Patrol? Really?
We've actually got some volunteers that flew these helicopters.
We're pilots.
Yeah,
Gosh, that's got to be so surreal.
Yeah, these little round holes here is where they attach the bullet holes. So everywhere you see a little
These are
metal
all guns.
holes like that is from a bullet hole. Well, you can see these helicopters aren't really made for comfort. I mean, are you comfortable?
No. And this is how it was. I mean, open wires exposed, and doesn't seem like the walls are pretty thick in here.
No, they're not. I mean, it's steel, but bullets go through this thing real easily. And that's what we've seen outside, is where this particular helicopter was hit with a lot of bullets.
What is it like for you being a Vietnam vet, coming to work here every day?
Oh, it's great. I mean, we've got 125 volunteers, and almost all of them are military, ex-military, and almost all of them fought in the war. In fact, we've got 4 World War II guys. They're in their 90s. We're all getting up in years.
You don't look it.
Oh, well, thank you. You're my best friend today.
That's an interesting boat.
It is. It's a river patrol boat. In 1965, December 65, they started the Brown Water Navy in Vietnam. And it's from brown water because they travel in the rivers.
So what would this have looked like when it was in operation in the rivers over there?
Well, it had a crew of about 4. There'd be 2 gunners. You had a guy who drove the boat, and you had a commander for the boat. And that's fiberglass. That's the last one of a kind. And it was tough going to war in a fiberglass boat.
I can't even imagine. So how many U.S. troops died in the Vietnam War?
Well, unfortunately, over 58,000 died. Now, South Carolina lost 895 men, and this is represented. We have dog tags for each man who died that was from South Carolina.
That must be pretty neat for the families of those that lost, especially in South Carolina, to come and be able to know
sure.
that dog tag is represented here. Why do you think, in your opinion, it's important to have places like this to remember our past?
Well, not only for the people that participated to be able to come back and see these things that they actually used in war, but to have some of the young people learn from it. They need to know they got their freedoms because guys fought and women fought and died for it. And some of them don't realize that.
Next, our summer road trip heads for America's Gulf Coast and a date with a dolphin.
Okay, we'll have him tell us a secret. So what we're gonna do is we'll have our hand down like this, and the count of 3, if you bring it up to your ear like you're listening really hard, then he'll give you a little secret. Hand like this. 1, 2, 3, bring it to your ear. Good job, that was very good.
Welcome back to Southern Weekend. There is nothing better than celebrating the 4th of July with a beach trip. Sun, sand, maybe catching a glimpse of a dolphin or 2. Well, at the Institute for Marine Mammal Studies in Gulfport, Mississippi, they're taking care of some of our coastal friends and teaching others how to protect them for years to come.
So what we do is we bring nature close to people.
You guys want to see Gabby dance?
This is an interactive facility. Well, they can see dolphins, they can see sea lions, they can see fish, they can touch and feel stingrays, sharks. When you do that, your experience is everlasting. Let me tell you, the United States' largest dolphin population is right here in Mississippi and adjacent waters. This is because of the water being very fertile. This is also a nursery ground. This is where the babies are born.
All right, so this is Apollo. He's one of the youngest dolphins that we have in our group. All right, we're gonna have him give you a nice big wave hello.
Okay.
But that tail is his. So he's gonna bring that tail up and give you a nice big wave. So one of the really interesting things about Apollo is that he's hearing impaired. Now what that means is that he can't always hear the whistle. So when he's under the water, you wanna toss that fish right in his mouth? When he's under the water or if he's away from the dock, we use a slap on the water or a target pole to tell him that he's done something correctly because he can't always hear the whistle.
What is his story? How did you all acquire him?
He was actually stranded in Louisiana, and he was originally rehabbed at the Audubon Institute in New Orleans. And then after about 6 months, he came here and will be his permanent home for the rest of his life. So the main reason that he would not go back out in the Gulf of Mexico is because of his age. So he was stranded when he was probably about 1.5, 2 years old. And that's just too young. He wouldn't be able to find his family groups, or he wouldn't be able to survive on his own. But then on top of that, they do a hearing test, and they found out that he was actually hearing impaired, which could also be a factor. We'll have him do a little hula dance for us.
Ooh.
So if you give me a finger like this, yeah, and turn it in a nice big circle. Circle, circle, circle. Yeah, very good.
What are typically the most common reasons for stranding events to happen?
Yeah, a lot of times it's age. You know, they're young, something happens, they get lost from their pods or their families, and they don't know how to care for themselves. So eventually they don't get enough food, or they get sick in the process, and they put themselves up on the beach because they have no other option for that.
Gosh, it feels like rubber.
Yeah, should be nice and smooth.
Oh, thank you for letting me rub you.
It's also really silly at times. We might get a little wet on this one. I'll try to avoid it. Can you show me this? Yeah. Are you having a good time?
Sticking out.
Good job, very good. Good job, buddy.
He seems like he has such a great personality.
He does. He's got a great personality. What we're gonna do, if you give him a tickle right there on the melon, he'll tell you how happy he is.
Is that your happy sound?
Yeah, that is a taffy sound. He can show you how ticklish he is. You can reach over and give him a tickle right there. Okay, we'll have him tell us a secret. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we'll have our hand down like this, and the count of 3, if you bring it up to your ear like you're listening really hard, then he'll give you a little secret. Hand like this. 1, 2, 3, bring it to your ear. Good, yeah, that was very good.
And though these behaviors are really entertaining for us to watch, they're more important to the stimulation of their brains, right?
Everything you see a dolphin do is something that they would naturally do anyway. We're just asking them to do it at a certain time and giving them rewards for it. So rewards can be fish, it could be attention, it could be tongue rubs just like that, the things that they like. They really like to participate and they really like to learn. I know you do. Good job, bud.
Do you have a favorite story from working with him over these past few years?
He is just the most energetic dolphin that we have. He loves playing with toys. Go get me one. You know, on his free time, he's always playing with toys. He's exactly what you think a human little boy would be. Loves to play and loves his toys. Thank you. Good job. Very nice. Good boy.
So is your primary goal when you find them and bring them back to hopefully get them healthy enough that they can be returned to the wild?
That is it, absolutely. That is our 100% goal, is to always put them back out into the Gulf of Mexico. So like he was too young. He wouldn't be able to survive on his own being stranded so young. So it's really important that we give him the best care we can, and that's right here with us.
This has to be such an amazing education opportunity for folks that are able to come and see the dolphins up close.
Yeah, it's really awesome. We're on the Gulf Coast, and a lot of kids have never seen dolphins, or maybe they can't afford to go on a boat, or they've only been to the beaches. So if they can actually see these animals in person, it makes such a great connection. And then they can actually care about what's happening to our oceans.
Right.
So even though, you know, maybe they're not seeing dolphins every day, they know that these dolphins live in our ocean and we have to take care of them. So they're gonna start cleaning up the beaches. And that's the most important thing. If we can take care of the oceans, we can take care of the animals that live in them.
Coming up next on our 4th of July themed road trip, what's more American than some great barbecue?
It's a Junkadelic courtyard.
I came up with the word to describe this place. Family food drinkery.
We came up with that word 14 years ago.
And later, grab your peanuts and Cracker Jacks as we head to Louisville to explore how an American classic is made. If you want to see more from any of our road trips, check out thesouthernweekend.com. You'll find videos of our adventures across the South, as well as great tips and recipes. All that and more, anytime you want it, at thesouthernweekend.com.
Welcome back to the Southern Weekend. For many of us, it just doesn't feel like the 4th of July unless barbecue is involved. Now you may think barbecue joints across the South are all the same, but I bet you haven't seen anything like we found at the Shed.
The Shed in all its glory, right?
Nice. It's unlike anything I've ever seen before. And beer service.
We just call it the Shed.
It's a Junkadelic courtyard.
So when I came up with the word
What?
to describe this place, family food drinkery.
We came up with that word 14 years ago.
When people come in, especially when the kids say, oh, I want to go get fed at the Shed, that's when I get all happy and giddy inside. Same thing when I see a kid actually enjoy some blues music.
Barbecue, blues, and cold beer. And Southern hospitality above and beyond.
Finest. We take these
You're in for a treat,
Yeah, oh yeah,
sister.
we definitely have to take these.
You're in for a treat.
I don't even know where to look. Do you all know everything that you have in here?
Actually, we do. The Shed story started with Brad being a dumpster diver and collecting all of this stuff while he was in college, and then he came home and wanted to open a restaurant, and I was little sister in college myself.
You still are,
And
even though.
actually, let me tell you what, buddy.
No.
But I was in college, when he graduated and came home, and he had all of his dumpster diving finds. He said, well, I'm gonna build this little barbecue joint. And not only did the family get involved with that, but the community became involved, and we started having things like our tacky chandelier contest, people bringing their license tags, and just anything that, you know, everything has a story behind it.
Is that a parachute?
So that is a parachute. What a lot of people don't realize when they come into the shed by automobile is that we have a 500-foot pier. We also have 19 acres. So we have guys that are coming in semis and cars, planes, trains, automobiles, but also skydiving in.
Are you telling the truth right now?
Yes.
Totally.
Really?
I mean, the shed is not just another barbecue joint.
You have commuters coming in via parachute?
And this guy said, hey, he's retiring the parachute, but he couldn't find a better place, and guess what? It's still hanging here at the shed.
So you can get to the shed any way your heart desires. And we'll be here with cold beer, barbecue, and the blues.
Is this what you had pictured when you started this place 14 years ago, or has this just been a culmination of what's
It's what I
happened?
pictured, you know, that we got a lot of junk hanging out, but essentially what puts us on the map is the food's good. No matter what, it comes down to the barbecue. Don't be scared now.
All right, and you just want me to just
I want you
sprinkle?
to hook it up now. Oh, hey, all right.
Is that
she's
good? You happy with
See that? Extra, yep.
We keep it really, really simple because you know what? It's all about the beef.
It's all about
All
the
about
beef.
the
Then they
beef.
make those songs. Salt and pepper, a
Smells
little bit
so
of
good.
granulated
Smells
garlic.
so good.
In the South, we do it different. We do that sweet Southern tomato base.
Uh-huh.
And there goes
And you're
my
getting
phone.
fired from the show, Brooke. She's out. Got a little bit of love on your hands. It's fine.
All right,
we gotta
I'm gonna
make
give
sure
it
that
the rest.
fire is rolling here.
Okay. You use
Okay.
real wood for this? I don't know why
It's
I was thinking
always
it was
pecan
charcoal.
wood.
Pecan wood. Why pecan wood?
Always. Pecan actually has a derivative of vanilla in the cellulose of the wood, which sounds so crazy,
Really?
but it makes sense.
Wow. It's the real deal. Yeah?
Yep.
Just set it right in.
Kick that door over. A high five, salt and pepper. That's the way we do it here at the shed.
Going to hyperspeed right now and see what the end result
Exactly.
is. So, 16 hours later, wow, you can see the smoke coming off of that.
It's one of the best things
That
ever invented.
smells like so much garlic and deliciousness.
This is what it's all about for us.
Gosh, look at
Nice, juicy, perfect slices. We want it to be able to just fall apart right here. Boom.
That is so moist and tender. Wow.
This is what makes good barbecue.
Wow. I didn't even know you could do that with brisket.
I didn't either. Now that my hands are so
Juicy.
And it's all about Southern hospitality, barbecue, blues, and beer.
we get to start great weekends and we get to end great weekends. So
Another cheers at that
To your
one, right?
next Southern weekend.
Up next on this all-American road trip, we're heading for the home of country music for a look at how some iconic concert posters are made.
Literally, we're using wood and metal letters and hand-carved images.
And later, we stay in the volunteer state to see where Elvis became the king of rock and roll.
Most people know that music roots run deep here in Nashville, Tennessee, but it's not just singers and songwriters that get their big breaks here. For instance, Hat Show Print has been around for more than 100 years, and they're known for these iconic posters promoting the likes of musical acts from Elvis and the Rolling Stones to Johnny Cash, and they're designing more than 500 prints every year.
Welcome to the shop, Molly.
Thanks, sweetie. I appreciate it. So, Hat Show Print started 1879. It was founded by two brothers, right?
Charles and Herbert.
What was it like when they first started this print shop? My definition of printing is a lot different than letterpress.
Letterpress printing is literally we're using wood and metal letters and hand-carved images, hand setting them, blocking them into a press, printing them one piece of paper at a time, one color at a time. So it's a very slow process.
How long does that take from the design phase all the way to delivery of the print?
Because everything at Hatch is made by hand, the process itself of designing and printing the poster takes probably about a week. But there are very few shops that are doing letterpress printing right now. So they know they want something that's a bit of texture, a bit of history, but they don't realize what that means necessarily. And so we bring them along and educate them about how our process works and how it's different. I will tell you, we have over 100 jobs in line right now.
What happens? They email you and say, we've got this file, we want you to print it, and it's...
No, we can't. Our motto is preservation through production. What that means is we've got to use all of this type that's on the wall behind me and in these cases, and we've got to use the images that have been carved since the first day the shop opened in 1879. We get to preserve our type by using it, preserve our images by using it, producing posters, and everybody gets to enjoy a physical object.
And you're getting to use these same machines.
Yeah, we get to use the exact same type that the two Hatch brothers purchased 136 plus years ago. It's pretty awesome.
So Will T. Hatch is the son of one of the original founding Hatch brothers, and he eventually took over the company, and he created a lot of the designs you all still use today, right?
Yeah, when he took over the shop, that's when Hatch really put itself on the map as a show poster company.
He really helped generate the success of Nashville as a city, not even for the South, but for America, really.
He helped really establish a visual identity for what was happening here in Nashville and recognizable across the South, because Hatch was the Southern poster company.
If you're in Nashville, this is a must stop. It's located right in the Country Music Hall of Fame, conveniently in the city. Make sure to check them out next time you're in Nashville.
Up next, we hit Louisville, Kentucky for a swing through the Louisville Slugger Factory and Museum.
This is really a priceless part of not only company history, but baseball history that's contained in this room.
And later, we're celebrating the king of rock and roll with a tour around Memphis in a classic American car.
Welcome back to the Southern Weekend. We're celebrating America's Independence Day, the 4th of July, and what's more all-American than baseball? So we swung by the Louisville Slugger Museum and Factory to see how their iconic bats are made. If you're trying to decide where to spend your next Southern Weekend, I promise you, Louisville, Kentucky is sure to be a home run. PJ.
Molly, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you so much for having us here.
Welcome to Louisville Slugger.
This is a big bat.
It is 120 feet tall. It's made out of carbide steel, and it's an exact replica of Babe Ruth's bat.
Come on, really? Wow, it's bigger than most of the buildings on this block.
Yeah, you can see it from pretty much anywhere in Louisville.
I can't wait to see what you have inside if this isn't the entrance.
Yeah, absolutely. Come on and check it out.
I think vault is the appropriate word to describe this room.
Yes, welcome to the Bat Vault. We call this the Fort Knox of Louisville Slugger.
It's a great word for it.
We have some white gloves over here. We got to handle these artifacts with some white gloves. Now our cataloging system is pretty simple. It's a letter followed by a number. So in other words, A99 model. That's a Hank Aaron model. He was the 99th guy with the last name that started with A to have created a model for us. Now the ones that you're standing by over here, you're looking at the R43 over here. That's the Babe Ruth model. So here's the R43 model.
What is this?
This is actually ash. That's northern white ash.
Wow, this is sentimental.
That's
really
part of a really
incredible.
important part of our company history there. And so what you're looking at here, this is really a priceless part of not only company history, but baseball history that's contained in this room. Wow. So what we're looking at here, these are called billets, B-I-L-L-E-T. That's what we're going to use to shape into our baseball bats. You can hold that. It's about a 5-pound piece of wood. Yeah, it's about 5 pounds, and we're going to turn it into about a 2-pound baseball bat.
Cool. So what's the next part of the process?
Next part, we're going to take it to our lathe, and we're going to shape it into a baseball bat.
Okay. You want to actually take this letter?
Sure. No, we got to put this one back.
So how did the company get started?
Well, it started back in the 1880s. 1884, a young kid named Bud Hillerich was working for his dad's woodworking shop about 10 blocks from where we're standing right now. Now, young Bud decides to play hooky from work one day to go catch a ball game. His favorite team was the Louisville Eclipse. Well, the star of that team back in the 1880s was a guy named Pete Browning. Well, Browning breaks his bat, So young Bud comes up to him after the game and says, come back to my dad's woodworking shop. I'm a huge baseball fan. I'm really good with wood. I think I can make you a better baseball bat. So Bronin agrees, comes back to the shop. Bud makes him a bat to his exact specifications. Next day, Bronin goes out, gets 3 hits with it, goes 3 for 3. Oh, word spreads. Pretty soon his teammates look at one of those bats. Pretty soon everyone in Major Leagues is. Here we are, 130 plus years later, we're the official bat of Major League Baseball.
This is one of the first.
This was the first.
This is the first.
Yeah, and Pete was actually his nickname. He was from Louisville, and his nickname was the Louisville Slugger. And that's how we got our name.
Appropriate.
Yeah.
So where we are now, these are all Hempel production lathes. So we're going to use a forklift to load up these green cages with billets. The billets are then fed into the lathes automatically. They'll be spun about 3,000 revolutions per minute. We'll have a template loaded into that machine. It looks like this template over here. As that billet's spinning at 3,000 RPMs, a series of 5 blades will follow this template moving across that billet. One pass, 30 seconds, will have a baseball bat.
Aside from the tours, you also have a museum.
Yeah, we've got an incredible museum that our visitors can really check out and see, and we've got some really wonderful artifacts in there. We've got a Joe DiMaggio bat from his 56-game hitting streak. We've got Hank Aaron's 700th home run bat. One of the really neat things is we have a section in there called Hold a Piece of History. Visitors come in there, they can get their hands on game-used artifacts, pose and take a picture with it, hold a Mickey Mantle bat or a Johnny Bench bat or Derek Jeter, actual game-used bats, and they can pose and get some pictures taken with them. After that, they can stare down a 90-mile-per-hour fastball, which is a whole lot of fun. So there's a lot of interactive, a lot of great stuff to get some hands on, and then there's a lot of great artifacts to see in our museum as well.
So what we're looking at here, this is our burn branding machine here, and this is the traditional way we're going to brand our ash bats. We've got a metal template on that machine. It's heated up to 1,300 degrees Fahrenheit. And Rhonda's going to roll our bats over them and literally burn them and brand them.
Oh, that is so neat.
Give that a sniff.
Oh,
that smell nice?
That smells like campfire and marshmallows and oh, that's right with the world.
Never get tired of that smell.
No, I could work here all day just to do this. I want her job.
PJ, gotta say it. I think you knocked that tour out of the park.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, thanks
I'll
for
let you
coming.
put this back, but
Okay.
thank you so much for having us. I think I'm gonna go check out the museum and see if I can get some swings in at that batting cage. I may try Babe Ruth. Great, thank you. It's fun.
It's kind of a workout. This is what I need to do instead of going to the gym.
Up next on our summer road trip across the South, we make our way to a community in South Carolina where the Charleston isn't the only dance in town.
And you'll see grandparents coming in with their grandkids and their parents. There'll be 3 generations in here shagging.
And later, we head for Memphis for a ride in a classic car and some very tasty treats.
We all know about state mottos, state flags, and state dances. Yep, South Carolina has a state dance, and it originated right here in North Myrtle Beach. People come from all over to Fat Harold's for a couple different reasons, but probably the main one they're coming for is to dance, and not just any kind of dance.
It's the shag dance.
How would you describe what the shag dance is from a technical standpoint?
It's like a slowed down version of a jitterbug. A little bit of Charleston from it. And it is a state dance, South Carolina. Carolina Beach tries to claim it too, but we claim it too.
We won't let 'em.
No, it's a South Carolina state dance.
South Carolina state dance.
So how long has Fat Harold's been around?
He's been in business since 1963.
And who is he?
Fat Harold Besant, our beloved. He passed away on May the 22nd of this past year.
I'm so sorry.
And he was a lovely man. He'd give you the shirt off of his back. He's done so many things. His love was Camp Chemo, and that's a camp for kids with cancer.
Was he always interested in shag dancing?
Yeah. Oh yes.
He said it's the most beautiful dance that when it's done right, that you'll ever see done.
Well, before we get started, I'm going to take a few minutes and tell you a little bit of history about this very unique dance. The jitterbug was a 4-beat dance. and it was extremely fast. So they took that fast dance and they slowed it back down like the original Lindy by adding 2 steps to the back of the basic. Now, that slowed the dance down, but it was still a whole bunch of bopping up and down and jumping and kicking. It was still a fast dance. So somebody quit turning and started kicking straight toward their partner. And without realizing what they were doing, they created a brand new, very unique dance.
So is this a dance that just gets passed down generation to generation?
Yes. It's almost a mandatory thing within some of the families. I mean, you'll see grandparents coming in with their grandkids and their parents. There'll be 3 generations in here shagging. It's unbelievable.
1 and 2, 3 and 4. Back.
Molly, I'm going to teach you to do the basic step and shag, which is the North Carolina and South Carolina state dance. You're going to start with your right foot, and I'm going to start with my left foot. And all we're going to do is constantly switch feet. And this is the rhythm we're going to use. 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5, 6. All right, very good. You want to turn?
Sure.
Do you?
Yeah.
Well, okay, now that you've learned the basic,
Okay.
the turn is just like the basic, except you turn around in the first 3 steps. I'm going to pull you past me, and you're going to turn around in the first 3 steps and just keep going like a regular basic.
Okay.
Okay, ready and go. 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5, 6. 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5, 6.
Oh,
there you go.
sorry.
Now you're shagging, honey.
Still to come on the Southern Weekend, we slip on our blue suede shoes and go to Memphis to see where Elvis became the king of rock and roll.
He met a lot of Hollywood stars, and they would come to Memphis and hang out with Elvis, and he would take them around in one of his cool caddies or whatever.
And later,
yeah, I've kind of got a mix of like our steady eddies and then some seasonal specials, like the pink champagne.
Yeah,
has been doing really well lately.
Is there actually champagne in it?
Oh yeah, in the cake and in the icing.
we satisfy our sweet tooth when the Southern Weekend continues.
Memphis is known for barbecue, Elvis, and decades of really good music from blues to soul. And if you want to learn more about the history of this city from a music scene perspective, I'm told these are the guys to get a tour from, and that they know how to ride in style. You look like my ride.
I'm your ride. Very good.
Man, I like Memphis already. I feel pretty cool in this ride.
Well, you should. Yeah, it's a good day for it, too. This is what Elvis used to do. He would ride around when he was doing movies in Hollywood. By 56, he was actually, he met a lot of Hollywood stars, and they would come to Memphis and hang out with Elvis, and he would take them around in one of his cool caddies or whatever and say, hey, this is where I went to high school. This is where I grew up. He was really proud of his city, his adopted city. So this is Lauderdale Court. This is where Elvis lived from 1948 to 1952, coming from Tupelo, Mississippi. And for the first time here, he's got running water inside. He had an outhouse in Tupelo, you know.
So this was an upgraded move.
Upgraded move, even though it was government housing. We really thought he made it, and in a sense, he did. He was here for a few years. He's also staying here when he went to high school. So let's head to Humes High and see where Elvis went to high school.
Oh, we can see his high school?
Let's do it.
So this is it.
This is it. This is Elvis Presley's high school, Humes High. He graduated here in 1953, and he was told by his mother that he had to be the first Presley to graduate high school, and he was. He didn't get the best grades in school. He actually got something like a D in music, believe it or not, which I think is ironic. But anyways, he went ahead and he actually won first prize in the talent show here, because as he was going to high school, he wasn't real popular. He was kind of a country boy, you know? His mother used to walk him hand in hand here. Now, he's about 13 and 14, but let me tell you why. First day of school, he gets here. Remember, he's from Tupelo. About a class of 600-700 people in his middle school there. He gets here, there's over 1,000. So he's, you know, in the big city, new school. He's right here on these steps, okay? That bell rings, he watches everybody scurry in, and he stays. He's frightened, he runs home. And his mother says, Elvis, what are you doing? Why are you home? He's like, I saw all these kids run into the Humes High, and I was so afraid that I'd go in there and get lost and you'd never find me again. So they say, well, after that, she said, well, you're going tomorrow and every day after that. But then he gets picked on by the kids. And then he goes until that talent show, he gets first prize, he sings a couple songs, and the rest is history. take you to the first place that an Elvis Presley song was played. It's called the Hotel Chiscas right here. This is where Dewey Phillips was a DJ, and he had a show called Red Hot and Blue on WHBQ. He was the first to spin Elvis's That's Alright Mama. And he plays the acetate about 13 times because the phone is ringing off the hook. So we find out he's this kid named Elvis Presley from Humes High School. The star was born.
Why was Humes an important part of that story?
Well, here's why that's important, because when Elvis came out, a lot of people thought that he sounded black. And he was interviewed the day that that song was played, and by Dewey Phillips. And Dewey wanted to set it straight so people knew he was white. And he said, "Where did you go to high school? Or where do you go to high school?" And he says, "Humes High." And right when he said that, everyone knew, because the segregated South, Humes was a white school. So this kid who sounded black was actually white.
Did he grow up around music? Did he teach himself how to play?
He did, and as a matter of fact, at Lauderdale Courts, he was practicing the guitar by listening to country music like Hank Williams, blues music. So he learned how to sing in church. Back in the South, that's where you sang, and that's where you learned to sing, you know. And he would go to a lot of black churches, listen to how they sang. He would go to white churches to hear how they sang, just to kind of really, it was a melting pot of music, just to get it all in, you know. So Sun is cool because this is the studio I keep on talking about, where Jerry Lee got to start, Johnny Cash, B.B. King. All those guys you asked who got started here, they all got started at Sun Studio.
So this is it.
This is it. This storefront right here. This launched
So
the
many
career.
talented.
Oh, absolutely. Elvis, B.B. King, Jerry Lee Lewis, Carl Perkins, Roy Orbison, Ike Turner.
Huh.
I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Howlin' Wolf.
So what was it about this place? Were they just at the right place at the right time, or did they really just understand what it took to make a successful artist at that time?
I'd say a little bit of both. I mean, they had to have the talent, you know. Back then you had to have the talent.
Right.
And you had a great engineer / producer named Sam Phillips who owned the studio, who had an ear and an eye for talent. So all those things combined. I mean, this wasn't built as a studio. It was purchased to record music, but they didn't do anything fancy to make it a studio. It's just what it was. So
Just had walls.
4 walls and the truth. You know, that's it.
Thanks so much for showing me around.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Thanks for taking a rockabilly ride.
Still to come on this 4th of July road trip.
We'd have a whole line of people, you know, out the door. Everybody's like ordering their cupcakes, and then you'd get somebody who's like, I love a slice of that pecan pie, and we're like, oh yeah, you know what's up.
We've got a hankering for something sweet and delicious, and we know just the place in Memphis. If you want to see more from any of our road trips, check out thesouthernweekend.com. You'll find videos of our adventures across the South, as well as great tips and recipes. All that and more, anytime you want it, at thesouthernweekend.com. Welcome back to the Southern Weekend. We're in Memphis, Tennessee. It's time for a little dessert, and we know just the place to go.
So was baking just kind of therapeutic for you? It was just a hobby? And
Yeah, just kind of, I always did this as a hobby and never really took it very seriously. I was a major insomniac. If I wasn't reading at 3 or 4 in the morning, I was just kind of like, oh, I'm gonna make some cookies, and then I'm gonna eat some cookies, and then maybe I'll take some down the way and like share with people in my apartment. That's kind of how it started. And then people are like, oh, hey, I'm having a party on Friday. If you can't sleep Thursday night, how about you hook me up, you know, I'll pay you for your time. And yeah, I mean, I didn't take it real seriously until it started to grow and was just like, oh, I'm busy.
Red velvet one. I'll enjoy. Have a great day.
Look at all the colors.
Yeah, I've kind of got a mix of like our Steady Eddies and then
Yeah.
some seasonal specials, like the pink champagne.
Yeah.
Has been doing really well lately.
Is there actually champagne in it?
Oh yeah, in the cake and in the icing.
So what are you really known for? The whole reason I'm asking this is just so I can start eating.
I don't blame you. So we got to be known in Memphis for our cupcakes really early on. We have always been a full-line dessert bakery. So, you know, the cookies, pies. I feel like the pies have gotten a lot of attention just lately as more people, it kind of was one of those insider things where we have a whole line of people, you know, out the door, everybody's like ordering their cupcakes, and then you'd get somebody who's like, I I'll slice that pecan pie, and we're like, oh yeah, you know what's up. Like, you're on the inside.
Oh my gosh, I want to work here every day.
You cut a pie before?
Yeah, I don't know if it's the right way.
Welcome to work. So we actually do have a really great tip for the newbie beginner pie cutter. And you can order these online, but check it out.
I need one of
So yeah, little handy pie guide, but that way you can get an even slice all the time.
Should I try it?
Yeah, so what you're gonna do is just center the little center point right over the top of the pie, and then just very gently all the way through. Here, yeah, there you go. So then you're gonna kind of gently pull that out.
I may not be hired by the end of this.
No, look at that, that's beautiful. So now you'll actually wanna use the knife to kind of go through there all the way to the bottom. But you can achieve the look of like a guide any number of ways. So you can just do slices like crosswise. Dental floss is a fantastic trick. This actually works for cakes too.
Really?
Yeah, well, so not as much if you have like a crusted over pie, because then you won't have the markers, but something like a cream pie, or like you had a cake with icing on top of it, you could just kind of pull out your dental floss and like help you, let's kind of make a little guide where you want your slices. Okay, so to actually plate them, I like to use something with a pretty thin blade. So, you know, just a typical like icing spatula or something works pretty well. I think you did pretty well. I'm not actually hitting crust that doesn't appear to have been cut before. It just like went straight through. If you're doing something at home and you have, you know, like a china plate or something, this won't work. But usually if you're buying a pie someplace, it's gonna be in this little aluminum thing. So I actually fold the aluminum down just a little bit, because the first pie piece is always the hardest to get out. So that actually gives you a little bit of room there, and you slide that knife down in there, and then hang on just barely to a little crust, and pull that sucker right out.
How pretty.
And there you go.
I feel like I need to take advantage of the fact that you're a pie expert here and ask you some questions. If I'm making pie at home, what's the easiest pie, in your opinion, to not mess up?
All right. I would say a fruit pie is not as hard as I think it sounds. A good fruit pie, I think you can get that same like wow factor without a ton of effort. Do something like blueberries where you're not going to like do a ton of peeling. You're throwing some spices in there, and you wouldn't even have to do like a fancy lattice on top. You could just do like a little crumble, which would be super easy. So that's where I would really recommend starting.
What's the easiest pie to make?
Blueberry pie.
Pound cake or chess pie?
Chess pie.
The one ingredient that you can't live without?
Salt.
I would think sugar.
Salt brings out sugar. Salt brings out flavors and everything.
It wouldn't be Thanksgiving without...
Oh, coconut chess pie. So good.
You know you're a Southern baker when...
When you say, y'all, I cannot believe I did this, and like take 10 syllables to say it.
That wraps up this edition of the Southern Weekend, but we've got plenty more adventures to come. On our next road trip, we're all about college football. We're tailgating in Mississippi. Are you ready? Hell yeah! Sailgating in Tennessee. And experiencing plenty of great food as we prepare for the start of football season. Until then, I'm Molly McKinney. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on The Southern Weekend.